you to where you are today and the person that you are today?
Okay, well, it all started really 20 years ago, or you can take it right back to the beginning when I was born in 1949, which is ridiculous because that means I'm 62 this year, and I actually think that I'm 22, so I can never get my head around age. But basically what happened 20 years ago, multi-millionaire, living in a mansion, not one car, fleet of Ferraris I got, Lamborghinis. The reason was that going right back then, 20 years ago, and we're talking Maggie Thatcher times in the UK, and basically that's what equals success. Success was all about money, so I wanted to be successful. And I was pursuing this. Say, I got 70 acres, which is a huge amount of land. I got planning consent for a golf course on my estate, 30-room mansion. But you know what? There was still something missing. And this is the work that I do now. When I explain to people, I say, do you still feel that there's something missing? Have you read all the books, personal development books, listened to all the CDs, been to all the talks that still feel there's something missing? That was me 20 years ago. Unfortunately, 20 years ago, there was a divorce. It wasn't, I suppose anyone can have a good divorce, but it was messy. It was messy because there was a lot of money involved. And basically, 12 months after the divorce, there was the recession, stock market crash. We're talking interest rates back then, 16%. I think they're about 0.5% now, 16%. I couldn't offload any of my assets, any of my cars, any of the properties I've got. And I was 1 year away from retirement. So let's get this right. So I'm sort of just turned 40, 1 year away from retirement. I'm going to build my golf course. I'm going to convert all the stables in my stately home to offices, and I'm going to live off this. That's the plan. What happens is there's a stock market crash. Overnight, I go from being a millionaire in a mansion to a bankrupt in a bedsit. I lost my home, my job, my money, my family through divorce. My mum and dad had died at that time. So when people talk on the stress factor about number 2 on the stress factor is actually moving house, try losing house, losing money, losing business. And of course, the worst thing is I lost myself. So that was me 20 years ago, and I had nowhere to turn to. And one night, this voice in my head said, Richard, it's not worth living, and I planned my own suicide. It didn't happen this night because I got my little boy, Ollie. Little did I know my whole life was going to change. And it changed when I overheard someone say, oh, Fred, he'll be there one day. And I thought, there? How do you know when you're there? And I actually went in search of there. Metaphorically, I went looking for that, and I found it. 20 years ago, I found there. What do I mean by there? I realised the only thing that I'd been looking for all my life was a feeling. I've been looking for a feeling. Success is a feeling. Happiness is a feeling. Love is a feeling. Safety is a feeling. And I thought, well, where do these feelings come from? I don't feel good now. I don't feel successful. I feel suicidal. I feel lonely. I feel scared. And then I thought, where does the feeling come from? When you get something, when you achieve a goal, where does the feeling come from? A feeling can't come from a lottery ticket. It can't come from a Ferrari. It can't even come from a person. Where does the feeling come from? And then I realised the feelings can only come from me, and the same with anyone listening now. The feelings are inside you now. I fully accept that we can't always access them, but we are emotionally complete. Just below our chin is a chest. It's a treasure chest. It's full of feelings. Any feeling that you can ever want is there. It's inside us. It's complete. And in one night, I realised this. Alone, terrified and broke on rock bottom, I realised I was there. I was complete. And I accessed the feelings that I'd longed for. The irony was I didn't get it with the mansion and all the money, or when I was married, I got my kids. I got it when I was alone and terrified on rock bottom. And basically, that's how it all started. Am I coming through okay, Joe?
Yep, you sound brilliant, Richard. What a story.
Okay, just checking you there. So basically that started a whole new, it's like my world went from black and white to colour, and I started telling people about this. Well, they couldn't work it out. It was a total contradiction, you see. I shouldn't feel amazing when I've got no money, no job, no home. Aren't these all the things that we're scared of? Being lonely or being being homeless, having no money, and it happened to me. Yeah, I'm not just saying that I'm there. I look like I'm there. I'm shining. The lights are on. I'm on main beam. My family thought I'd gone nuts when I said that I was there, but that was 20 years ago. And I can remember I did my first talk. I didn't plan it. I never thought that I was good enough to do a talk. A friend sprang a surprise on me, got some people together, said, come on round my house, and there was all these people there. And that was my first talk. And it's just grown. Then I wrote a little book of quotations. Then I got on TV, and it's just grown bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's where we set up the Ministry of Inspiration. That's what we run. I am the UK Minister for Inspiration. My God, is it needed? There's a Minister for Agriculture, a Minister for Defence. Why isn't there a Minister for Inspiration? So I elected myself. I've been doing this 20 years, but basically 4 years ago, everything really changed. It moved on to a different level when we realised that most people, most of the time, are not choosing. Get your head round that. How amazing is that? Most people think they're choosing, and personal development fuels that. He says, well, we're choosing. You choose to be happy or you choose to be sad. Never. No, we don't. Not in a million years. No one would choose to be sad. What happens is, we do sad. Look, imagine now if I'm holding both my hands up. Imagine I'm holding both my hands up. And one is saying, right, there's happy, there's sad. What would any listener choose now? Every time they'd choose happy. So we always would choose happy. The fact that we're doing sad, it doesn't mean that we're actually choosing it. What we have instead, we have the illusion of choice. We have been taught that if we are doing it, we're choosing it, and we're not. So the next question has got to be from any listener, well, okay, if I'm not choosing, what is? It's a script. Metaphorically, it's a script. It's a script that we inherited from our peers, right, and our teachers and our parents. And this script has been handed to us, and this is what we read. Here's an example.
Oh, we just lost him.
Noble criticisms. That's what people hold on to the longest. Yet if you asked those same people and you said, there's a compliment, there's a criticism, if you could choose, and there's the clue, if you could choose, what would you hold on to the longest? Every person, every time, will say, I would choose to hold on to a compliment. So the fact that we do hold on to a criticism can only mean one thing. And say, well, what's that? You are not choosing. And that's been the biggest breakthrough. Number one, there's two stages to my breakthrough. Number one was discovering that all the feelings that we ever want are inside us. Number two, which happened 4 years ago, was suddenly finding the key. I'd do talks to thousands of people, right? And I'd tell them about that, and they'd go away, but nothing would change. I thought, why isn't it changing? I've just told you, you've just agreed with me, all the feelings are there. What I didn't realise, there was a script stopping them. And this script, every line in this script starts with, yeah, but. Yeah, but. Yeah, but. It's all right for you, Richard. Yeah, but. Yeah, but this. But the truth is the truth. And the truth is that most people are not... How many listeners now, when they put the phone down, right, from this call that we're having here, how many people would choose to be happier, would choose to be more positive, would choose to focus on the important things in our life? Every single one of them. But how many of them will actually put the phone down and do it? Very few. And that's not a problem. They're not doing anything wrong. It's just the script gets them. The script says, yeah, but now you've got to get on with your job, or you've got to do this, or we've got to do that. And we get sucked into it. So basically, the work that I do now, Joe, is getting people to choose. There's always going to be a script. I'd love to say, you know what we do? We help people get rid of their scripts. You can't get rid of the script. The script is your upbringing. It's what's happened in your life. That's the bad news. The good news is you are not your script. You can choose. And if you're not choosing, you know that it's the script. And the results that we're getting, Joe, are staggering. It's blowing me away. Listen to this. People that did this program, which we call Broadband Consciousness, or BC for short, 4 years ago are saying that it's stronger now, not weaker, 4 years later. Whereas just about everything else you do, you do a program or something, you go on a course, and then it gets weaker with time, because this doesn't require you to be happy or positive. You're either going to be in your script or out your script. How will you know? One, you will feel good, the other you won't. It's as simple as that. Two things are going to happen in your life. You will either feel good or you won't feel good. Those two things, that's all that can happen in your life. And we help people choose. Does that make sense, Joe?
It does make sense, Richard. What I want to ask you, I think, is probably something that many people on the call will empathise with. You get days where you do feel a bit fired up and you want to go for it, but a lot of the time, certainly with the people that we've got on the call, they're mainly people who are trying to start their own business, who are trying to create extra income in their life, who are trying to create freedom, maybe feel trapped by their jobs and would like to have more money to be able to travel or spend time with their family or that kind of stuff. And a lot of the emotion that I get from many people I speak to is one of overwhelm. They feel completely overwhelmed with, what they need to do, the learning curves they need to take to be able to move forward. There's fear there. There's fear certainly in our business. I mean, I teach social media, so I'm constantly talking to people about having a greater social presence, and there's a lot of fear there. How do people on a daily basis start to move through some of those fears and start to eradicate some of that overwhelm, do you think?
Yeah. Well, okay, let me start with one thing. Wanting something, right? Most people want something. They want to be more successful. They want to be happier. They want more clients. Wanting has no power. Wanting takes your power. In the 80s, even 70s, going back as far as they used to say, when you want it enough, you'll get it. When you want it enough, you've got to really want it. Rubbish. Do you know what that does? When you really, really, really want something, that makes you desperate. And desperate is so unattractive. We've all been in the store, where you're looking at a TV or something, and you've got the salesman that is desperate, that chases you around the store, and you run out the door. Desperate is not attractive. Imagine being desperate in a relationship. You're desperate to meet someone else. You're going to frighten everyone away. I've got a friend. She's been desperate to meet a guy for 3 decades. And she always has a meal with these guys. She has a couple of drinks, and then she says, I bet you're going to leave me like all the others, aren't you? And of course they're gone. So it's like nature, Joe. If you chase anything in nature, it runs away. Right, now, so I've got a real gem that I'm going to share because, this is a time of recession, certainly, like a global recession, certainly in the UK. Our business is expanding, so I would be a good person to listen to because it's working. Now, the difference is how you change from, loads of people want stuff, which we'll call desire. How you change it, you move to deserving. Now, when you deserve something, that is so much more powerful. I believe I deserve my business to work. Now, people can say that. Yeah, well, I deserve it as well. And there's no passion in their voice. They're not shining. So how do you move from desire to deserve? You've got to make it bigger than you. Now, this is going to sound simple, but it's massive if you do it. You've got to move from the me to the we. You've got to move, I'll say that again, from the me to the we. I'm just going to when we've finished this conference call, I'm going to jump on a plane. I'm going to go to Dublin. I'm doing a talk there for around 400 people. The talk isn't about me, Joe. What the talk is about, I went to hell and back 20 years ago. This voice in my head, which is the audio version of the script, nearly killed me. And what I'm doing it for the we. You have to make it bigger. It's no good saying, I'm scared of making calls. I'm this. It's all the me, and that's not powerful enough. Here's a great example, Joe. This is a fantastic example. Imagine I asked your listeners now to go into town, say, right, you'd like more money? That's great. Who wouldn't? That's fantastic. Right. I say now, go into town, if you're a guy with your wallet, if you're a lady with your purse, and just go up to strangers and say, excuse me, could I have some money, please? And when they say, sure, what's the money for? Say, it's for me. You know, I want a new car, I want a new suit, I want a new bag, or whatever. How comfortable, honestly, would your listeners be with that? They wouldn't be, nor would I. Watch the change now. Want them to go into town again, go up to strangers again, ask for money again, but this time you've got a collection tin because it's for the local kiddies hospice. Does that feel different? Boy, does it feel different. It feels totally different. The question is, why? You are still going up to strangers and you're still asking them for money. The reason it feels different is because it's not about you. You've got to make it bigger. You've got to get on a mission. You've got to access the superhero in you. Listen, we've all heard tales about a little old lady where someone's stuck under a car and she picks the car up. Those stories are true. We have the power in us, but you see, we only access those superpowers when it's for someone else, when it's for something bigger. And it's such a gem that I'm handing the listeners here. You look, say your business, whatever your business is, say you're selling widgets, I don't know, but if you sold millions and millions and millions of widgets, you'd make a lot of money, yeah? Okay. What I want to know then, Joe, from the listeners is, when you've got a lot of money, when you're really good at what you do, what are you going to do then? Tell me what the end goal is. And, you know, what it needs to be is, I would help other people. That becomes your driver. Your driver isn't to get a lot of people on your database or sell a lot of things or make a lot of money. That's the bit in the middle. What the real driver is, yeah, you want all those things to happen because you're doing it because you're going to give back. That's how it works for me, Joe. That's how it's been working for 20 years. When I stand on a stage, it's so different to other speakers because they're doing it from the head. They're doing it for them. They're trying to impress the audience, bless them. When I get on stage, I'm doing it for all the people in the audience. I'm doing it for the we, not the me. And that's the big clue to it. Get deserving, and you deserve something when you think it's for other people. The second thing I want to share is watch out for the civil war in between your ears. Watch out for that little voice in your head that says, you can't do this. This is not going to work. That's what we call the audio version of the script. You will never get rid of that voice. Now, this is important, what I'm sharing, because there's a lot of people out there that will say, I'll get rid of that voice for you. We'll get rid of that script. You can't. Let's keep this real. And what's real is, if someone says to me, I've got a voice in my head that's saying I'm not confident, my reply is, yeah, you're probably always going to have that voice, but it's not who you are. The voice is a liar. You can step over it straight away. You haven't got to spend years trying to fight that voice, get rid of it. If that voice doesn't make you feel good, it's the script. So you acknowledge it, you say, thanks for pointing that out, and you do it anyway. And that's what we do with people that have done our program. They get on a stage having never stood on a stage before. And just as they're on the way to the stage, Joe, that voice in their head is saying, you can't do this. You know, those people won't like you. Now, whereas before they wouldn't have got on the stage because the voice takes you out. Remember, that voice nearly got me to kill myself. Right? What they do now, they say, that's my script. Thanks for telling me that. And they get up and do it anyway. So with most people, what's zapping them, Joe, it isn't the information. We're informationed out. We know what to do. Our greatest challenge, it isn't that we don't know what to do. It's knowing exactly what to do and still not doing it. And that's what you'll be doing with your guys' show. You'll be telling them what to do, and they won't be doing it because the script, this voice, as soon as we put the phone down, this voice will be going to them, yeah, but. You might be getting, now the listeners might be getting some, yeah, but it's all right for Richard Wilkins. Yeah, but I don't agree with that. That's the script. The script doesn't want you to move on. But I tell you what, once you really get the script, it stops the civil war. And it's the civil war that takes your energy. And I bet you 99.9, reoccurring 9% of your listeners now will relate to that war in their head where you've got the good guy and the bad guy. And if it isn't bad enough, say we need to make some calls or do something in our business, we don't do it. As if that isn't bad enough, then we start beating ourselves up. Now, this is what gets people, it's the fight. It's that battle in your head that totally emotionally drains you. And what you need to understand, you're always going to have a voice. There's a negative voice. That's the script. You are not the script. It's time for you to start choosing. And if after listening to this you still don't choose, no worries, because you know what it is now. It's the script, it's not you. Would any of your listeners choose to put the phone down and choose to be, more upbeat, choose to move from the me to the we? Every single one of them would choose to do that. The fact that they may put the phone down and not doing it now is okay. You would choose to do it. And that's the whole point, that most people, most of the time, I reckon over 90% of the time, are not choosing. It's the script. But at least anyone listening to this now will at least be aware that there is a script. You get cultural scripts, religious scripts, family script, but you know it's a script. It doesn't make you feel good. So move from the me to the we. Start deserving it. Remember that collection tin and the wallet? It was totally different. And watch out for the civil war in between your head and those yeah buts. That's just the script.
Okay, let me pick up on a couple of those bits, Richard. Move from the me to the we. I'm completely with you, and all the listeners will know how many times we talk about changing from focusing on making money to giving value. That's one of the things that we preach all the time. Stop focusing on making money, focus on giving value. The challenge for all the listeners out there, and I'm going to completely empathise with them. All the people on the call know, how focused I am in my business, but they also know that constantly I'm always banging on about my weight, for instance, on the fan page, and that I'm on the next diet. There's guys out there that are constantly saying, I want to do things, but I can't do it. I want to move forward, but I just find that there's things in my way, or I slip back into old habits, or I continue doing things that I've always done, and I know that the sort of the definition of insanity is to continue doing what you've always done and expect different results. But how do you move through it if you've got that constant script in your head and it's really strong? It's a really strong pattern. It's right there. It's very, very deeply embedded. How do you just simply step over it? I know you're going to say you choose to just simply step over it, but that's a tough call for a lot of people. So are there any tips that you can give us that we need to be doing to step over some of those really deeply embedded scripts?
Yeah, well, the whole thing, you just said it. I mean, it was great what you just said there, Joe. You just said that your guys say, I wrote it down here, I want to do it. So that's the important thing, that you want to do it. And, the question that I would say to one of your listeners now, you can come along, you can listen to this, you can say, I know that. This is where the script's great. The script will say, I know that. We don't know it. What we mean by that is, I've heard this, I'm not living it. And that's how the script is very clever. He says, you tick that box, you've done that one, you've done that one. The whole point is, nothing will exceed the relationship that you have with yourself, right? Nothing will exceed the relationship that you have with yourself. Now, what I would say to any of your guys is, what do you base that on? In other words, who are you, really? Not your job, not your name, not your religion, not your profession. Who are you? Now, behaviour, what you're talking to me about, Joe, is behaviour. They want to change their behaviour, whether it's eating or doing something. Listen to this. It's very powerful. It's profound. Remember, the truth is the truth, whether we believe it or not. Behaviour will always follow identity. I'll repeat that. Behaviour will always follow identity. Who you think you are, that's what will happen in your life. Now, here's the really, really, really good bit. If I am correct in what I'm saying, that until you become aware that there's a script, over 90% of the time we're not choosing, the script is getting us to choose. That means our script has been, our identity has been the script. So for most people, they are basing who they are and what they have done on the past. That is insane. So if you, for example, Joe, if I said to one of your guys, do you think you're a confident person? And they come back, no, I don't think I'm really confident. What do they base that on? And what they're basing it on is what's happened, not what they want to do. And that's why we keep going around and around in circles. In other words, if you want to change your behavior, I'm not talking through willpower and trying, and we need more effort. We've all tried that stuff. Here's the 10 things to go and do, and we never go and do them. What you need to change is who you believe yourself to be. And for most people, they've never even considered that because they just check on their past. Here's a great quote. You're asking for a tip, Joe. Here's one, and I'd recommend you guys to write this down. Use the past as a library, not a home. I'll repeat that. Use the past as a library, not a home. Use it for reference. Don't live in it. You are not your script. You need to work on the level of identity. That's what you need to do. And just by being aware, you know, you think, shit, this script has been choosing my... That makes so much sense what Richard's saying here. I'm not doing all the things that I want to do. So then what you start to look at is what is the person? What I would say, Joe, who you are to any of your listeners, who you are is what you would choose to be. Most people, Joe, have never even considered this. So people who go, yeah. So no, don't give me yeah. Tell me then what you would choose. And most people have never even considered that, Joe. The danger is here that we've got to step up. You know, the biggest thing that I see with people with challenges is that they're trying to do things, but the energy levels are low. You know, their energy levels are low there because of the relationship they've got with themselves, because they've got a civil war in their head. And what I'm saying is, you say, well, what's the tip? First of all, be aware that that negative voice in your head is not you, it's a script, right? I would say to you, start to notice what you are thinking, feeling, and doing. When you notice what you're thinking and feeling and doing, you move on a higher level than them all. If you're going to start noticing what you're thinking and feeling, you can't be those thoughts or those feelings. Here's another example. If I said to your listeners now, I want you to notice what you are thinking for the next 5 seconds. Doesn't matter what you are thinking, negative or positive. I'll count to 5 now. Notice what you're thinking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, if you just notice for those 5 seconds what you are thinking, you can't be your thoughts or you wouldn't be able to notice them. It would be impossible. That blew me away the first time someone did that with me. I thought, oh my God, there's 2 of us in here. So the fact that you are noticing what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what you're doing means you are on a higher level. Your whole life, the whole life of every listener, what's going to amount to anything in your life is the level of consciousness, right? The opposite to conscious is unconscious. Most people are unconscious. What do I mean by that? They are not choosing. The script is choosing. I guarantee you every listener is listening to this now. As soon as you put the phone down, the script will start. It will go on again. Yeah, but. You need to create a new identity that is based on what you would choose. Behavior always follows identity. One of the things I always say to people, Joe, when they do our program, our BC program, what this requires is a serious lack of effort. A lack of effort, not more effort. We don't need effort. Effort is only required where there's resistance. We need to look where there's a resistance. Joe, you mentioned about fear, about being scared, right? Mm-hmm. Fear is totally dependent on one thing. Do you know what that is? Resistance. That's what a fear is. A fear is when you say, I don't want this thought, or I don't want this. That's what creates the fear. What I'm saying is invite it in. Say, hi, you're the script. Now, come on in, yeah, say whatever you want, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that's how that you get results, and that's how you change behavior. You've got to change the relationship that you got with yourself, and you will change that when you work on the level of identity. And remember, the identity of most people is nothing they've chosen. Most of your listeners now, their identity, who they have believed themselves to be, is nothing to do what they would choose. It's what they've been told by other people. Other people's opinions have created a script, and that's what's running most people's lives. That's why we don't step up. We are scared to be different. We're scared to be different because we want to fit in. That's how the script started years ago, Joe. It started at school. We wanted to fit in. Why did we start smoking? Why did we... Do you know, I was speaking to a girl recently who did our course. She's 18, extremely pretty. She went to a private school. She didn't even have an eating disorder till she went to school. They taught it to her, and the reason that she started doing an eating disorder is because she wanted to fit in with a gang. We want to fit in with the gang. And what we've done, we've compromised on our superpowers. So does that make any sense, Joe?
I tell you what, I've got to be honest with you, Richard. I am having some light bulb moments myself here. I'm not sure what the rest of the guys are feeling. Well, we're going to go over to them in a second and get some questions and stuff, but I am really having some light bulb moments at the moment. Richard, I just want to ask you, I'm going to hand over in a minute. I'm going to get some questions from the audience. But before I do that, can I just ask you, you've given us so much information over the last half an hour or so. If you could, you've mentioned a few times now that a lot of people will do exactly, and you're so right, you're absolutely right. You can give people so many tools, and it's their own scripts, if you like, that are holding them back from actually utilizing those tools and go out and achieving what they want to achieve. And a lot of people are going to put the phone down at the end of this call, and the script's going to take over. So is there one thing that you could say to everybody, look, when you put the phone down in a minute, when we finish this call, go and do this right now to try and stop that script immediately overtaking you? Is there one thing that you could say to people, just try this exercise, go and do this right now?
Yeah, but what I would say, I understand what you're saying, Joe, but the last thing I want, so I've got it, the last thing I want you is to start fighting the script. So the best thing is, if when you put the phone down you think, well, I want to do that, but I'm not going to do it, don't do it then. For the first time in your life, you see, personal development has made it not all right to be not all right. And that's not all right, if you can understand that. So if the script stops you, just say, okay, I'm not going to do it. That's my script. Don't have a fight with yourself. It's the beating yourself up that's creating it. Then what will happen, after a little while, you think, this is stupid, I'm going to do it. And what I'm saying is, you're either going to do it or you're not. If you do it, you're choosing, that's brilliant. Anything that makes you feel good is you. Anything that doesn't make you feel good is the script. I would say, don't fight it. Right? I'd love to be able to wave a magic wand. So I'm going to tell you something now, 100% guaranteed to work. Everyone's heard all that stuff before. But for the first time in your life, dare to be all right with not being all right. That's what's causing teenagers to jump off bridges and kill themselves. We haven't made it all right to be not all right. And that's what the guys have got to learn to do. Don't be hard on yourself. Just sit there with it. And like I said, just notice. That would be my tip. Notice what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're doing. If it makes you feel good, it's you. If it's not, it's the script. And I'm telling you, magic will happen. I'm telling you, see, you might be thinking, well, what good is that going to do? If I'm noticing what I'm doing, I'm not doing, what's changing? I'll tell you what's changing. The noticer. You are becoming more aware, more conscious. And as your consciousness goes up, that's the key to the door for everything. Everything is based on how conscious you are. So if you just keep notice, I'm either in my script or out my script, all the time, your consciousness will be going up, 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 up and up, and it will happen. But make it all right to be not all right, and dare to shine. Don't pass your script on to your kids. Dare to start saying, like I'm doing, start saying, I am there. Dare to say that. When someone says, how are you? Never say, I'm okay. Say, I'm amazing. And if they say, how come you're amazing? Say, I'm not dead. And that's got a higher value than winning the lottery. Every day, Joe, I believe I achieve my biggest goal. Listen to this, just one quickie. I know it's running out of time. One quickie, right? You know, what would people have? Would they rather have £10 million or not be dead? You say, I'd rather have not be dead. So every morning, Joe, I get up, I've just achieved my biggest goal. Can you imagine my energy? I've just achieved my biggest goal, because my biggest goal is to be alive. That's what you do as you become more conscious. So make it all right to not be all right. Stop beating yourself up.
Absolutely fantastic, Richard. Thank you so much, guys. We've got some 10 minutes left, so let's have some questions for Richard. What an awesome webinar! What an amazing way to start your day as well today. What a great way to start the day. So let's have some questions, guys, please. What's going on in your mind? We've got some. This all makes some great sense. We've got that. We've got I choose happiness. Total contentment each minute. I am so with you, Richard. I know the answer is me.
Can I mention something on contentment, Joe?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, contentment. It's a quote I wrote in one of my books. It's so simple and it's so beautiful. So It's about this, because a lot of people are trying to be happy, or like we said, the unhappy. Happiness and unhappiness are merely the high and low tides on the edge of a great sea called contentment. So contentment, your contentment needs you to allow to be happy or sad, not just happy. That's pressure. We're trying to take the pressure off people here. Stop beating yourselves up if you're not happy and you're not positive. And then it will all start to happen naturally and organically.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got, if my script is to have all the knowledge but not the follow-through, how do I change it? I literally get a physical reaction and I get tired when it comes to implementation.
Yeah, well, like I said, there's the bad news and the good news. Let's get the bad news out of the way first, right? There is a script. Everybody's got a script. It's based on the past, but it's not who you are. So you can't change the script. That's what people are doing on all these courses. So they're spending fortunes trying to get rid of this area and the confidence and the past stuff. Any listener now, you do not have lots of challenges in your life. You have one challenge. Script. Imagine, like, on your computer now, yeah, you create a new file, you call it script, you put it on your desktop, you drag all these other things, doubt, worry, anxiety, you drop them in the one file called script. Because anxiety, whether it's doubt and all these things and beating yourself up, you wouldn't choose any of those. And again, what I would say, don't look to what you do, look to raising your consciousness. Become the noticer and listen out for the script. Remember, I've been doing this for 20 years, this work. 4 years I've been working with BC, and it isn't just me. I could introduce your people to loads of people. We're talking hundreds of people now, Joe, that say this gets stronger with time. Trust the process. Trust what I'm saying now. It will happen. But you don't want people going out and starting all this trying and pushing and willpower. What we got to do is make it easy. Make it flow. Just think all the time, what would I choose? And it will happen. The challenge that I've got, Joe, I've got one challenge for your listeners now. That is, this sounds too good to be true. It's too simple. It's like, you're saying to me, Richard, just notice, and if it's not good, it's the script. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And I'm basing this on results. I'm not someone that's big on all systems and doing this and doing that. What I'm big on, Joe, is results. And this gets results. I'm not just basing it on me in my life. We've had people that have done this from BC from the age of 18 to 70. And what you need to do, you need to know, your listeners need to know, trust the process. It works. Start noticing what's happening, and you'll start changing your identity. So again, look to the level of identity. Put the phone down, I would say to your people, and write down what you would choose. Stick it up somewhere, what you would choose to be, what you would choose to do. And if you don't do it, do not beat yourself up. Just say, that's my script. And you know what, Joe? Your listeners will start to notice when other people are in their scripts. That is phenomenal. Because what happens is then the ability to communicate with other people just goes through the roof. You'll see other people in their script. After this phone call, magic will happen. I'm telling you, trust the process. The truth is the truth, whether you believe it or not. The truth isn't interested how much money you've got, what shape you are, what you look like. The truth is the truth. And the truth is that we are all superheroes pretending to be ordinary people. Now we can let that superhero out when there's a disaster just before we die or someone else does, or we can get on purpose, join, move from the me to the we, and it can happen now. Sorry, Joe, I'm a bit passionate about this.
I tell you what, Richard, I love that. We are superheroes pretending to be ordinary people. I absolutely love that. My listeners are going to hear that over and over again.
Good. You tell them, Joe, because it's the truth. Remember, the truth is the truth whether we believe it or not. You know, there's a great one. How do you get 10 people to walk across a tightrope, right, from one skyscraper to another, no safety net, 500 feet up? How do you get all these people in the room to suddenly say, I want to do it. You set fire to the room behind them, Joe.
Yeah, burn the bridges.
And that's what we've been doing. We keep waiting for the fire before we really step up. Get on purpose. What a legacy for your kids. What a legacy for the people that you work with. If your listeners start saying now, I am there, I am amazing, when they speak to people in the morning and they say, how are you? You can say, well, I'm amazing, but my day's crap. What do you mean by that? I'm amazing, but it's my script. But the point is, anyone that's listening to this now, you have just achieved your biggest goal. Because your biggest goal this year will be to survive the year. Imagine you achieved every goal in your life but that one. That would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
You've achieved it, guys. You're already successful. All this thing about I want to be a success, we already are. That's where the energy comes. You've got to be successful before you start putting the stuff in the sausage machine. You know, I haven't got time to explain about the sausage machine. But, the biggest missing thing in there is the energy thing. And if you are going to think, I've just achieved the biggest goal in my life, because the biggest goal in my life is to not be dead, to be alive.
Yep.
That's what we did as kids.
All right, listen, Richard, Phil, one of our students here is actually close to Dublin. He's asking where you're going to be, whether he can come along.
Well, I think it's the Crown Plaza Hotel. It's an event for a company called Forever Living Products. So I don't know if you could pay on the door. It's a really great company. It's not a company I'm personally affiliated to. They've just got me coming along as a guest speaker. But I think it's the Crown Plaza. But it's if he calls Forever Living Products in Ireland, they'll tell him where the event is. And I've spoken for this company for years, and yeah, if he can come along, tell him to introduce himself. We do have an event in the UK. Can I mention that, Joe?
I was just about to ask you, actually. I was going to say, is there somewhere online that I can go and direct people to your event? Or
yeah, if they go to it's the ministry of inspiration.com. The ministry of inspiration.com.
Yeah.
Because we've got an event in Northampton on the 29th of October. It's a one-day event, but you can track us down and stay plugged in.
My name's Richard Wilkins,
the work you're doing is amazing.
Sorry, I just started your video then.
I think that the work that you're doing is amazing, Joe.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm on your website here. I'm on events. So we've got a recharge day, Saturday the 29th of October. Is that the one?
Yep. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, there'll be at least 150 people there.
Hilton Hotel in Northampton, ladies and gentlemen. So for you guys here on the call that are from the UK, then that's in Northampton. Do you ever get over to the US at all, Richard?
No, I'm not doing anything in the States at the minute, but I know you can get to Northampton from Australia in 24 hours, so that's the furthest point away. But no, you know what I'm looking for, Joe? There's an old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. What I say to that is, oh, bull. When the student is really ready, they become the teacher. What I'm looking for is people to work with from the States to take it over to the States.
Yeah.
I'm not on some big ego trip where I want it all to be about Richard Wilkins. I want people sharing this message about the script because it's killing kids, Joe. It nearly killed me.
Yeah.
And it can kill you slowly, like every day grinds you down, or the worst case, suicide. So we're looking for teachers. If anyone's interested, I want to work with you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, look, Richard, I know that you have a plane to catch, so I am going to... Sorry? Yeah, I am going to let you run because it is dead on 10 o'clock, which is when we said we'd finish with you. So all I can say is thank you so much. I've had some light bulb moments. I know the comments we're getting here are amazing. Okay, we've got people on here saying, thank you so much. Can we have Richard back? This is great, fantastic. So yeah, you've had some amazing comments. So I just thank you so much for your time, Richard. It's been brilliant.
No, thanks, Joe, and then thanks to all the listeners. Just be kind to yourselves, guys. Make it all right to be not all right. It's only the script. It's not you. You would always choose to be the superhero that you really are.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We're all just superheroes pretending to be ordinary people. I love it. That was Richard Wilkins, a fantastic minister for inspiration. I think you'll agree. I do hope that you have enjoyed this morning's webinar. I will see you at 12 o'clock for the next webinar, which is all about social media and local business and big brands. Okay, so we'll see you at 12. We'll also see you over at the fan page very shortly. I'm going to be over there in about the next 5 minutes or so, and we'll be talking about the competitions that we've got running today, including the Win My Car, which is a very hilarious competition. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Richard Wilkins. It's been amazing. I am now going to go off and be a superhero. I'll see you guys all in a couple of hours. Take care. Bye-bye.